So out of curiosity, did you, when you were like going through grade school, middle school, high school, were you thinking to yourself, oh, I want to be a writer, I want to write? Or was that something you discovered later, like maybe when you went college age, or is that something you always had an inclination for?
It was kind of a fluke in a way. It was like I had always liked writing because we moved around a lot, and like when you move to a new place, you don't have furniture, you don't have your TVs and stuff hooked up. And so we would just we'd have to wait for stuff to get to us, or like wait for my mom to buy stuff before we could do anything, until, handheld games came out. But sometimes you even have to wait like electricity to get hooked up at that place, if you move to a new state. So it was just something like my brother, like, he's an artist. He would draw and I would write, and that was just kind of the thing that we liked. And I look back at my stories now and they're very, like, you can tell what my inspirations were, like Tales of Symphonia, like stuff we were playing at the time. And through moving, we ended up moving to Florida, and this teacher came up to me and he took away, I used to write in these composition notebooks, and he took it away, and I was like, oh crap. He's like, come see me after class. And I was like, crap, because he saw me passing it around to kids. And what I would do is I would write it. I'd have my brother do like the chapter beginning, like picture, and then I would give it to kids at school and be like, oh, read it, here's the new chapters out, like exclusive. And my teacher confiscated it, and then after class I'm like, oh, I'm screwed, like I'm so screwed. He's gonna tell my mom, I'm gonna get a beating, crap. And then he's like, so do you like writing? I just read this is pretty good, like this is like, I think 6th grade. He's like, this is pretty good, like, do you like writing? And I was like, yes, like, is this a trap? What do you want? And he's like, oh, you should go ahead and you could be a writer when you grow up. And I was like, robots don't do that? I thought robots wrote TV. Like, he's like, who do you think writes novels and stuff? I was like, I never thought about that. I'm in the 6th grade, dude. And he's like, yeah, you can write for television if you don't want to write books. Like, you can write movies. He was like, you can, newspapers, people write that, like all this different stuff. And I was like, I guess I never thought that there was, like, I knew people were making it, but I guess I never had thought that deep into it about how it actually got made.
Yeah, for sure. As a kid, you don't think of all the different steps. Like, oh, I just see the end product. I'm sure the actors act and there's a camera guy that says action, but you don't think about, oh, hey, there's people sitting in a room for like a couple weeks brainstorming, and then there's a guy that writes a script for a month, like that.
Yeah, like even comics, it's like, I read, my grandfather would give me a lot of DC and Marvel comics, and in my head I was just like, oh yeah, one person probably does that entire thing. I didn't think about, oh, there's people that ink it, there's people who do the initial sketches, there's people who do the lettering. I didn't think that far. So yeah, when he came to me, he was like, yeah, so you want to do that? I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. He started giving me like writing prompts, like he'd give me a picture and be like, write like a whole page long story. And then I kind of just stuck with that after even I moved from there. Like, I feel really bad all the time because I think about that story and I'm always like, I don't remember that teacher's name, and he like literally is the reason I became a writer, and I don't remember who he was.
Shout out to Mr. E.
Mr. someone from Lee Middle School in Fort Myers, Florida. I don't know who you are, but thank you.
That's so fantastic. Yeah, that's Rena.
Like a story that like a lot of artists have. Like, they always like get caught or get in trouble drawing in class and stuff. It's like, imagine if all teachers paid attention to what kids were actually like enjoying doing at their desks, like creating. Like, how if they like encouraged that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think about it now, and I'm like, I wonder how many people, like super talented people, just never went into anything creative because they didn't have someone like come up to them and be like, you could do this, right? Like, if you wanted to.
It's definitely a shame. Yeah, it's a shame in our education system because we always teach how to, like, basically our education system comes from the fact we make people effective factory workers. We're not teaching people to pursue their interest and gearing their educational experience from like grade school all the way to high school about that experience too. So like, we're often behind on the art side. If you compare ourselves to like French artists, where there's like, oh, you're going to be an artist, we're going to train you all the way through, so by the time they get to like college, they're already mastered.
Yeah.
The rest of us are like, we get to college and then we got to learn everything immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, that guy seemed to really have an a profound impact on you. So I mean, that's great that you had that person in your life. And what I find interesting is that even after you moved, you still continued the same kind of writing prompt thing, right? Where you kept writing even after that guy wasn't in your life. What kind of like prompts did he give you? Like what did he give you, and then what did you do? And was that part of your assignment, or was it just like extra?
Yeah, so this was like an English class. So what I would do is just kind of, I would finish my work, and most of the time I would end up writing in that composition notebook, and that's what got me in trouble. So he was like, wait, so you actually do your work and everything, like you're good in this class? And I was like, yeah. So basically I would finish the work, he would take it and grade it and give it back to me, and I'd be like, okay, cool. And then he would give me like just a sheet of paper. It was like, you know, a regular piece of paper with a small picture at the top, and sometimes it could be anything from a unicorn in a magical looking fantasy land, or it would be a car in like the 1920s, just like in front of a building. He'd just be like, okay, like just do whatever you want, write a full story out of it. Yeah, and sometimes you give me sentences or phrases and be like, okay, your character's name is Jim. He is in space. He works on the moon. Write a full story. And I'd have to do like, how I could do one page. That was the minimum, but it would just be like, keep going as long as you can. Keep writing a story. And then he would take it by the end of the week.
And how long did you usually write? Did you usually write like more than a page?
Yeah, I definitely did. I feel like most of the time it ended up being more like 5. Like I think I'd write like a page a day, because I'd write usually in his class. Because once I got home, I lived with my grandfather at the time. He was super strict, and he was like, you're going to learn an instrument, you're going to learn a different language, you're going to read books, you're going to do homework, you're going to do chores. Like he's very strict. So I wouldn't have had writing time unless I was like, this is homework, like freedom writing time. And then also some of the stories they weren't really personal, but they felt personal. So I was like, I want my grandfather to read my stories. And, you know, as a kid, you kind of put a lot of your personal business into your stories. When you're young, you don't realize you're doing it, but that's how it is. And I'm like, oh no, I don't want him to know that he's the character in this. And
Especially when you're in 6th grade, you're like going through a lot of changes, and I'm sure you're writing about like crazy stuff that's going on in your head. And maybe your grandfather is like, a metaphor for your grandfather is like, I don't know, some kind of troll under a bridge or something like that.
Yeah. So it's like, it's like, please don't read this. I just wait. I would write it. I'd finish my homework as fast as I could in his class or my classwork, and then I would write the rest of the class and try to get however much done until the bell rung.
That's cool. That's really neat that your teacher was able to do that for you. Did you write all the way up through high school? Were you always, after that point, were you just constantly like writing?
Yeah. I still have like, my mom sent me like, New Jersey, there's a lot of floods. My mom had somehow collected all of the stuff I've ever written, like all my books. She gave me a few of them. They have water damage because there was a flood. I can't remember whatever flood caused Seaside Heights to go under.
Sandy, maybe?
I think it was Sandy. But yeah, like she lost a bunch of like our old school stuff and a bunch of old books. But she sent me the few that weren't messed up, and it's fun getting to go through them. But I kept going through high school, and then I think I did like online comics for a while.
Oh, nice. You mean you wrote online comics, or?
Yeah, I would write the online comics, and then my brother would do the art for me.
So it was like you guys had a webcomic together. Is that it?
Name of the series.
It was not good. It was
the name of the series.
The series was Please Don't Ever Look It Up. I have a secret DeviantArt that I never thought anyone would find, that I would update, and it was on a site called Drunk Duck, and we would upload our comic there. And then one of my friends here, I was telling him like, oh yeah, we used to run a comic, it was really bad, and he's like, this you? And I was like,
wow.
I'm like, how did you even find that? Yeah.
Now that's our job. We have to find that before the interview's over.
Good luck. It's not my name. My name is never attached to it. So good luck. I don't know how he even found it. He searched hard.
Impressive. I'm impressed by that guy.
Yeah.
Should I do the intro again, or are we good to go?
No.
All right.
Oh, there we
Yeah,
go.
let's
We're
go.
good.
So there was an intro, and then there was about 45 seconds to a minute of awkwardness. That will serve as our musical intro today, just us rambling about nothing. And now, here we are.